Hari Om. We'll chant from verse number 24. ईश जीवयोर्वेशधीभिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् वेशहानत स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनं स्वात्मरूपतः आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयाद् आत्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता अज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपमेत्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भवा पूर्णचित्सुखम् बन्धमुक्त्यतीतं परं सुखम् विन्दतिह जीवस्तु दैविकः अहमपेतकं निजविभानकम् महदिदं तपो रमणवागियम् ईशजीवयोर्वेशधीभिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् वस्तु केवलम्. So this path of self-inquiry begins by questioning the very reality of the mind itself. Ki manasam tu kim margane krite naiva manasam. We come to know that there is no such thing called mind. This inquiry further leads us into thinking what is this mind which is made up of thoughts, and all the thoughts ultimately depend on this I thought. So we have to inquire what is this I, from where it comes. Aham ayam kutaha bhavati. From where does this aham arises? And a very strange thing happens, this aham falls down. And when the aham falls down, the real self shines forth by itself. Ahaminasha bhaji aham taya spurati rut swayam paramapurna sat. The Supreme Self shines forth by itself. And that self is such which doesn't go to sleep. Even when the ego goes to sleep or is dissolved, that self remains undisturbed all the time. It is different from the five koshas, different from the world and senses. It is of the nature, it is real, and everything else is just a illusion. And there is no other knowledge required. That Sat itself is Chit and Chit itself is Sat. So I have to ultimately recognize my own Supreme Self, and that is the ultimate reality. Now the question comes, in someone's mind it may come, that then what is the what is the relation between this individual and Ishvara? If I have to realize my own self, then what about all those things which people say that God realization? We have to have Bhagwan's darshan, we should realize God. So what about God? What is the role of God here in this all this scheme of study and spiritual sadhana? So that is now revealed in the following verses, that who is God. Again we'll chant the 24th verse. ईश जीवयोर्वेशधिभिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् ईश जीवयोर्वेशधिभिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम्. The individual being is called Jiva, and the total being, the one who is identified with the totality, is called Ishvara. The center, the essence of Ishvara and Jiva are same. Only because of the outer form, they are named differently. Just as again the example of ocean and waves. Waves are a term used for a different form, and ocean, that term is used for different form. But the essence of ocean and the essence of wave is same. But when we look from the standpoint of wave, then there is a difference between a wave and an ocean. There is a difference between one wave and other waves. But from the standpoint of water, there is no difference at all among all the waves or between wave and ocean. Everything is one. Similarly, when we look at the world from the standpoint of our limited body, mind, intellect, then we are called Jiva. And when we look from the very center of our own being, then we realize that I, the essence in me, and essence in Ishvara is one and the same. So from the Jiva standpoint, there is someone called Ishvara. But from that essence standpoint, there is no Jiva and there is no Ishvara also. It is one and the same. So Bhagavan says that Isha Jiva Yoho Veshadhi Bhida. The difference between Ishvara and Jiva is only with respect to the Vesha. Vesha means the dress which one is wearing. So Jiva is wearing the dress of an individual, body, mind, intellect, ego, the samskar and all. And Ishvara is one who is wearing the dress of the whole cosmos. Ashtamurti Brud Deva, we have seen. That he is the one who is building the entire cosmos. So the whole world is Bhagwan's body. Not only this world which we see, even other worlds which are unseen. That is all held by Ishvara. He is the Lord of the entire cosmos. But the Sat Swabhav, the essential nature of Ishvara and Jiva is same. Sat Chit Ananda Swarup. Ishvara is also Sat Chit Ananda, Jiva also. Means they are not two different entities. It's one and the same. Just as I gave the example of this concentric circle, the center is same. The circumference may differ, but the center is same. So Sat Swabhavataha Vastu Kevalam. So when we are identified with Jiva, we behave like a Jiva. But ultimately, when we come to recognize our own self, then the whole concept of Jiva and Ishvara also get dissolved. So the concept of Jiva, Ishvara, and even Jagat is at a one relative plane. When one get dissolved, the other two also get dissolved. So our dharma and all our activities and all as Jiva, then it follows certain rules and regulation. But our ultimate aim and goal is to recognize our supreme nature. Once that it recognizes, then the difference get dissolved. Hari Om, Hari Om. You can hear me clearly without any problem? Very good. I should also hear myself. So Ishvara and Jiva, the difference is only in the outer form. Vesha means the dress and Dhi means the understanding. The Jiva is Alpadnyaha, of little understanding. When we say Ishvara, is all understanding, omniscient. When Jiva is of little power and Ishvara of supreme power. So Isha Jiva yor Veshadhi Bhida Satsvabhavato Vastu Kevalam. So as far as the Jiva and Ishvara are concerned, the difference is only outward, but inside they are one and the same. In Gita also Bhagavan says, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhuta Shayastitaha. I am the Atma residing in every being. I am the self of all. So this being the truth, what does it mean to have Ishwar Darshan? Because the scriptures also somewhere says that Bhagwan ka darshan karna chahiye. We should gain that darshan of God, God realization. So what does it mean? In the next verse Bhagwan says, Veshahanata swatma darshanam Isha darshanam swatma rupatah Veshahanata swatma darshanam Isha darshanam swatma rupatah Isha darshanam swatma rupatah Veshahanata, when we transcend the Vesha, the dress which a Jiva is wearing, the Panchakoshas are like the 5 dress which we are wearing. Just as in summer we wear different layers, we have these 5 layers, the Annamaya Kosh, the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya Kosh. About them we will study in Tattva Bodh next time. So these 5 koshas are like the 5 dress which the self is wearing. And when we look at ourselves from the standpoint of a dress, we seem to be different. Even in the world, actually, the uniform makes a lot of difference. The type of dress a person is wearing, suddenly the person's personality also changes. Even this sannyas dress and all, it's totally a different dress altogether. People are scared to wear this dress. Yeah. Temporarily we don't mind wearing it, but as a uniform, it's quite scary. Suddenly you appear totally different. You look into the mirror and you don't recognize that person. So dress can really change one's personality, but these are all dress, they are not the real person. The real person, if you want to know, we have to transcend those dress. So when I transcend the dress, that's called Veshahanataha. When I transcend the dress in the state of meditation, See, when we go to sleep, we transcend four dress. The fifth one is still there. Anandamaya Kosh is still there. But when we go into the state of meditation, we transcend all the five dresses. In the dream state, we transcend one dress. The physical body is transcended, and we create a dream world with our mind, our intellect, and all. When we go into deep sleep state, dreamless sleep, we transcend pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya kosha also. But when we go into the state of samadhi, the turiya avastha, the fourth state, then we transcend this anandamaya kosha also. So only when we transcend, we come to recognize ourselves as we are. And when we look at ourselves as we are, we realize that I myself was the one who was holding the entire cosmos also. So I, the Jiva, and I, the Ishvara, and I, the Supreme Self, is one and the same entity. They are not three different entities. So I myself am that Supreme Reality. Aham Brahmasmi. So Veshahanataha Swatma Darshanam. When we transcend this dress, we come to recognize ourselves. Swatma Darshan, we gain the darshan, the vision of our own self, recognition of our own self. And Bhagavan says, this itself is called Ishwar Darshan. Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupataha. To see God is to see our own self. See, many so-called fanatic religious minded or some who have a funny concept of God and all, they may find it very difficult to comprehend this, that how can you and God be one? You want to be God. This is blasphemy. Jiva is not God. The outer form and all is not God. But when we go to the essence, there is no difference between Jiva and Ishvara in that essence. So Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupataha. Ishwar Darshan will happen only by seeing our own self. If I want to see God, look at yourself. If you want to understand the reality of this world, look at yourself. If you want to know what is the secret behind this entire phenomenal world, look at yourself. You are the secret. You are the mystery. You are the supreme reality. You are that God. No other God you will find. If you see some God other than you, then it's just an illusion, temporarily created by your own mind. Illusory God. The real God is your own self, the supreme self. This is the very powerful reality teaching revealed by our great ancient rishis, and it is something which can be recognized at all times. It is not ancient knowledge, it is as valid today as it was before, and it will be valid in future also. So Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupataha. Even symbolically, when we go to a temple, when we look at Bhagwan and do Namaskar, our eyes closes automatically. One goes so far, Tirupati and all, and stand in that queue and wait for that darshan. And when actually we come in front of that deity, we close our eyes. Darshan ho gaya? Haan, ho gaya. You could have closed your eyes at home also. Why stand all in the queue and wait, and then when you are there about to see, you close your eyes? Because the real deity is within you. Even the temple is depicted as our Panchakoshas only. The outermost the area of the temple is like the Anandamaya Kosh. Then we come to the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya. Sorry, outermost is Annamaya. Annamaya I said. Then Vijnana. And innermost is the Anandamaya, in which the deity is there. So this is just a depiction of how to go within. Temple is just an outer depiction of our meditation. We have to enter ourselves deep within, and with the light of that supreme reality itself, one has to see that reality. Therefore, in the sanctum sanctorium will be very dark and all, and only a little lamp will be lit. With that, we have to see. The traditional Indian temple, not the non-traditional modern temples and all, they are so brightly illumined and all that, and everywhere you see God, so you get confused. So, Ish Darshanam Swatma Rupataha, Ishwar Darshan is to see your own self. But what exactly is Atma Darshan then? What do we mean by seeing our own self? That now Bhagavan says in the next verse, Atma Samstiti Swatma Darshanam. Atmanirdvayad Atmanishtata. Atma Samstiti Swatma Darshanam. Atmanirdvayad Atmanishtata. Atmanirdvayad Atmanishtata. Atma Nirdvayat. This Atma is Nirdvaya. Nirdvaya means non-dual. There are no two Atmas. Atma is only one. Atma means I am only one. There is only one Atma. Then how it appears so many? There is just an appearance. Like the sun is one, the reflections appear to be many. Similarly, that Atma is one. When we go to the very source of our own self, and when we discover ourselves, we will find that I alone, that self alone is there. Kevalam, that is also called Kevala, one without a second. Since the Atma is one, then who sees the Atma? How to see that Atma? There are no two. To see also two are required. But there is no two, there is only one. So how to see that Atma? He says Atma Samstitihi or Atma Nishtha. To abide in one's own self itself is called seeing the self. To remain as one's self, to abide in one's own self itself is called Atma Darshan. It is not something which we see with our eyes. We are not, if we see, then the seer and the seen will be different. Then Atma will be a Jada. So it is not a seeing as we see other objects of this world, but being that self itself is called seeing the self. Dropping all other illusions and being my own self, it itself is called Atma Darshan. Because of the limitation of these words and all, darshan, we have to understand them properly. Therefore, it is also called aparoksha anubhuti, direct knowledge without the help of any medium. In Gita, Bhagavan says, Atma alone sees Atma in Atma. Atmani eva Atmana Pashyan. With the self, in the self, by the self, one sees the self. So Atma Samstitihi, so abidance in the self, or Atma Nishtata, again the same meaning, firm abidance in the self, itself is called Swatma Darshan. Why? Because Atma Nirdvayat, because Atma is one only. So Ishwar Darshan or Swatma Darshan is to abide in one's own self, to reach that state of samadhi. We come to recognize ourselves. And once we recognize ourselves, then even with the whole phenomena of this world going on, one will remain in that state of samadhi only. Then the duality or the what you call Advaita nature of that self doesn't get destroyed. It remains same. Just as the wave after deep meditation, when the wave come to know that I am water, then again there might be a lot of waves and all, but the water doesn't get disturbed. The wave no longer is wave, it has become water. We say become water, but it was already water. So as water, when it looks, it no longer is identified with one particular form. So for that water, all forms are myself. And still I am beyond all form. Similarly, one who has recognized the self goes beyond this sense of duality completely. And that itself is called Atma Darshan. But another word which is used is self-knowledge. So what do we mean by knowledge? Is it that we gain knowledge in our intellect, but intellect, you say, has been transcended? So what is the meaning of self-knowledge? That is now explained in the next verse. Jnanavarjita ajnanahina chet Jnanamasti kim jnatumantaram Jnanavarjita ajnanahina chet Jnanamasti kim jnatumantaram Jnanamasti kim jnatumantaram. This chit itself is called knowledge. When we say Sat, Chit and Ananda, chit itself is called knowledge. So when we talk about gaining self-knowledge, what we mean is abiding in our self, which is of the nature of chit. When we talk about having Atma Darshan, or is like abiding in our own nature as Sat. When we also talk that one gains that supreme state of bliss, transcends all sorrow, what it means is abiding in the nature of Atma as bliss. But it is one and the same. Whether we say abiding in Sat, abiding in Chit, abiding in that Ananda Swarup Atma, it is one and the same. So this Chit is different from both knowledge as well as ignorance. The knowledge and ignorance which we understand at this time is happening in the intellect. So a certain type of thoughts arising, we call it knowledge. Another set of thought arising, we call it ignorance. But both these type of thoughts are illumined by that consciousness. That consciousness itself, which is beyond this knowledge and ignorance, is called knowledge. Is also called the supreme knowledge, Chit. So Jnanavarjita Ajnanahina Chit. That Chit is Jnanavarjita, devoid of the knowledge with thoughts, and devoid of ignorance, which is also another type of thoughts. So therefore the question is, Jnanamasti kem jnatumantaram. Is there any other knowledge which has to be gained or which has to be known? The answer is no. To attain that Chit itself is called attaining self-knowledge. These are some technical questions which may arise as we follow this path. Many people may not have this question itself because we are not following that path. So once we follow that path, certain questions might come in our mind, and for them these are the answers like. So Jnanamasti kim jnatumantaram. Is there any other knowledge to be gained? So Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi was very clear that one should not waste our time in only collecting theoretical knowledge. One may become great Pandit, one may gain various certificates and degrees also. People do research and they do doctorate in some of the philosophical things like doctorate on Ahankar, doctorate on Maya, doctorate on different philosophy and their comparative studies. What is the concept of Ishvara in this philosophy and that philosophy? One may go on and on till the cows come home. That will not help anyone, neither us nor anybody else. The real knowledge is the very nature of the self. Abiding in the self itself is called self-knowledge. It's like sleep is an experience, is a state. Any number of things which we say about sleep and big thesis we write and all is not sleep. What we say about sleep is not sleep. Sleep is a state. It's not something to be said. It is not something to be explained. It is a state which we go even during pravachan sometimes. So it is a state. Similarly, this Turiya Avastha, the Atma, is a state which we have to attain. Atma is not a state, but it is the experience when we reach that Turiya Avastha. So it is not something which theoretically we have to keep on arguing or thinking about it. So Bhagavan has given us the technique here, the direct path. Through inquiry, who am I? We have to recognize our own self. That path, who am I, will take us to our source. Here Bhagavan has very beautifully described and explained this path of self-inquiry, which we will study in more detail when we study Sad-darshana. In our scheme of study, Sad-darshan is the final text. So there also Bhagavan explains it in more detail, but here he has explained all that one has to know. So jnanam asti kim jnatum antaram, is there any knowledge other than abiding in the self? There is no other knowledge. Now the question, all that was said now in this path of knowledge, right from the 17th verse onward, Manasam tu kim margane krite, Bhagavan concludes in this 28th verse. He says, Kim swarupami tyatma darshane avyaya bhava purna chit sukham Kim swarupami tyatma darshane avyaya bhava purna chit sukham avyaya bhava purna chit sukham Kim swarupam iti. So when we inquire what is my nature or what is the nature of this mind, or who am I, what is the nature of this I, when we inquire in this way, Atmadarshane, we gain the darshan of our own self. So Kim Swarupam, what is my nature, who am I? That is the method. Asking this question and going deep within ourselves with awareness. Diving deep within ourselves. And it requires patience, it requires faith, it requires what you call interest in it. All those qualifications are required. And once we go on this path, we will be able to attain our own self. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi has attained, and many of his devotees and followers have attained. And so many people, not only in India, but all over the world who follow his teaching, they are on this path and they are also attaining this. So this is a direct path. It has got no other, implications, no other things attached to it. Because a lot of other paths and all, there are so many things get attached to it and we get lost. Which is the path. So many decorations are there that one get lost. But here it is simple. Kim Swarupam. What is my nature? Who am I? What is the nature of this? What is the source of this I thought? From where does it arise? So even by chanting and becoming aware of that I, we can go to the source. So intensely aware, because that awareness we have the capacity to shift our awareness from one place to another, and we have the capacity to make it steady on one place. That capacity we have. One can shift one's awareness. For example, you have these two hands, so you can just close your eyes for a short time and just become aware of your right hand. Now become aware of your left hand. So it is, now you can open your eyes. So it is possible, and you know, that we can just shift our awareness here, there, there. Now here, in case of meditation, we have to, instead of hand, we have to say that word aham, I, and focus our awareness there. And maintain that awareness on it. And to the very, go to the very source from where this I thought arises. Because when one is asleep, it disappears and then arises. So try to find out from where. And the source of that I thought is our heart, and the source of that I thought is that self. So through this awareness itself, we can go to that source. And once you go to that source, and from there when you look, that I thought will fall, means it will appear to be just an illusion. And when that is done, then our sadhana is complete. So Kim Swarupam iti Atma Darshane. So just by Kim Swarupam, Atma Darshan will happen. And what is it? Atma, Avvaya, Abhava, Apurna, Chit and Sukham. It is Avvaya, indestructible, imperishable. Avvaya. Then Abhava, it is unborn. The self is never born. Therefore it never dies. It doesn't undergo any modification, any change. The I thought is born and changes and all. But the self, the real self, is never born. Therefore the fear of death also disappears. Apurna, it is complete from all sides. It is not limited. The self is not limited by time. It is not limited by space. It is not limited by object. It is not limited by any concept. It is not what you call, it doesn't undergo any modification and any change. So Apurna, Chit, it is pure consciousness. Chit Swarup, consciousness. It is because of the consciousness itself, the mind is conscious, the intellect is conscious. The consciousness in the mind, intellect doesn't belong to it. It's like the sun which is full of light. When it falls into the water also starts shining. It appears as though the water has got this special nature of shining. But water doesn't have that nature. It is borrowed from the sun. Similarly, the mind, the intellect and all are inert. They don't have ability to know. But there is an ability to know which is borrowed from the self. So self is of the nature of pure consciousness, pure knowing. That knowingness itself is the nature of self. So Chit and Sukham. Sukham means supreme bliss. It is of the nature of bliss itself, happiness. Not I am happy, but I am happiness. I am of the nature of happiness, bliss. So one need not worry about understanding the meaning of all these terms, but one follows that path and one will know the meaning. One will be the meaning. You should not try to find the meaning, but be the meaning yourself. So theoretically one may go on and on, what is Sukha, what is this, that and all. But the real thing is to follow that path and be that self. Once we gain that Atma Darshan, then what? Then afterwards what should we do? Bhagavan says that is the final goal. That one who gains this Atma Darshan becomes free. He says, Bandha mukyati tam param sukham vindati haji vastu daivikaha. Bandha mukyati tam param sukham Vindati haji vastu daivikaha. Vindati haji vastu daivikaha. Bandha mukti atitam param sukham vindati iha jivaha tu daivikaha. Bhagavan says, this jiva, this seeker, what seeker? Daivikaha, a divine seeker. Divine seeker means a seeker with all the qualifications. Sincerity, perseverance, faith. So many qualifications are required. Vivek, Vairagya, Shama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan, Mumukshutvam. This also we'll study in Tattva Bodh. So all qualifications, and all these qualifications are of the mind. And they may appear too many qualifications, but it is just one qualification having so many facets to it. So when one has got this qualification and pursues this path here in this world, while the body is alive, while looking at this world, one becomes free. Vindati iha jivaha. What he gains, that param sukham, one attains that supreme bliss, that which passeth all understanding, that peace and bliss which passeth all understanding, which is the glimpse of that bliss is experienced in this world whenever we reach a peak of excitement or pleasure. We experience that bliss, but it is not lasting. But here one attains that lasting bliss, because the bliss is the very nature of our own self. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said that a drop of that bliss gives joy to the entire cosmos with all the devatas also. And that is the ocean-like bliss. But only one drop gives joy to all of us. In the state of ignorance, even in Swarga Sukha, or all the Sukha in all the worlds are nothing but little, made from little drop. Just like sometimes the chilies are so hot that even a little bit can make the food very hot and spicy. I had gone to Trinidad and there is one chili there called Seven Vessels. The chili is called Seven Vessels. It looks like a tomato. And why it is called Seven Vessels? Because 7 vessels of food, you can put only one chili and that is enough for it. That much powerful it is. Why that example? That ocean-like bliss, but one drop of that ocean you take and sprinkle it in this world, and whatever joy we have, all jivas have ever experienced in the past and will ever experience in future, not only the human beings but animal, birds, plant and all the devatas put together, all the happiness is just that drop of the ocean-like happiness of that pure self. So one attains that, one gains that firm abidance in that self. So bandha, mukta, mukti, atitam, and this sukham is beyond both bondage as well as liberation. So the concept of bondage and the concept of liberation are relative. We feel bound, so we are seeking liberation. But when one attains that self, one will know that there was never a bondage, so there is no question of liberation also. It is also called, it is ever free. The self is ever free. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupaha. So Daivikaha Jivaha Vindati. So this self is attained by Jiva who is Daivikaha. So therefore one has to strive and realize this truth. Finally, in the last verse, Bhagwan says, Ahamapetakam nijavibhanakam mahadidam tapo ramanavagiyam Ahamapetakam nijavibhanakam Mahadidam tapo ramanavagiyam Mahadidam tapo ramanavagiyam Bhagwan concludes, he says, that this itself, this self-inquiry itself is a great tapas also. Mahad idam tapaha. What is this tapas? Wherein one dissolves this aham. That state which is devoid of this aham. Aham apetakam nija vibhanakam. And where the self is recognized, this inquiry which help us to negate the little aham, this ahankar, and make us realize this self itself is mahat tapaha. Tapas means concentration, focus. And the main quality, though a lot of qualities are required, the main quality which is required is that we should be able to focus all our attention on this path. Focus. Samadhanam, it is called. Focus. If that is not there, then it doesn't work. So, we have so many stories of people doing tapas. But the greatest tapas is when we focus our attention on this path of self-inquiry and negate that aham, our little ego, and transcend it and recognize our own self. Mahad idam tapaha aham apetakam nija vibhanakam. So as long as that ego is there, the self remains hidden. But when through inquiry we negate that ego, we come to recognize ourselves as we are. Just as during the Holi and all, even parents, they fail to recognize their own children. पूरा एकदम ऐसा कलर लगा के आ गया है, and the mother doesn't recognize. चले जाओ यहाँ से. He says, मम्मी मैं हूँ. What मम्मी मैं हूँ मैं? Go away from here. And purposely 2-3 children start saying मम्मी मैं हूँ, so she gets confused. मेरा तो एक ही लड़का है, ये 3 कहाँ से आ गए? So तीनों को पकड़ के वो स्नान कराती है. And then she discovers, अरे ये मेरा बबलू है. ये दूसरे 2 तो पप्पू है. So similarly, we have this mask of ahankar. So through self-inquiry, we have to wash ourselves, and then we will be able to recognize ourselves as we are. Self-realization is self-recognition, recognizing myself as I am, and that leads me to that great freedom. So Mahat idam tapaha. So idam tapaha, this idam, this self-inquiry is Mahat tapaha, is the greatest of all austerity because it reveals your own self. All other tapas are just, they are not important. Who is saying this? Bhagavan says Ramana Vagyam. This is the words of Ramana Maharshi, the realized master. These are the words of a realized master. They are not words of from scriptures or by-hearted or just spoken like that superficially, but they have come from the very depth of realization. Ramana also means very pleasing. So Ramana Vag means pleasing words. These are the most pleasing words, where Bhagavan is telling us that you transcend your ego and recognize yourself and gain that supreme bliss and become free of all bondage. And this you can do. You are a human being, you have the capacity to do it. So just go and attain your own self. So ahamapetakam nijavibhanakam mahadidam tapo ramanavakyam. Thus concludes this beautiful text, Upadesh Sar. This is a very short but very beautiful text, and it is complete in itself. If one really studies this and follows the guidance given here, then no other guidance is required. But if we have some doubts or we don't follow or we have some other obstacles in our path, then we need some other help also. But otherwise, this book is complete in itself. It is like a great Upanishad. It is as important and as valuable as a Upanishad. I hope you all enjoyed and also learned and also got inspired to follow this. Enjoyment is one thing, because after enjoying we forget about it also. You should learn also and put it into practice. We will chant the few verses, 10 verses we will chant again to indicate that we will continue the study and follow the path. Karturajñaya prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam kritimaho dadho patana karanam phalam shashvatam gati nirodhakam Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam Chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam Kaya vangmana karyamuttamam Pujanam japaschintanam kramat Jagataishadhi yukta sevanam Ashtamurti Deva Pujanam Uttamastavaducchamandatah Chittajam japa dhyanamuttamam आज्यधारया श्रोतसा समम् सरलचिन्तनं विरलतः परम् भेदभावनात् सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाभिदा पावनीमता भावशून्यसद्भावसुस्थितिः भावनाबलाद् भक्तिरुत्तमा हरस्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधश्च निश्चितम् भक्तियोगबोधश्च निश्चितम् भक्तियोगबोधश्च निश्चितम् बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज। हृदय कुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रं यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति। हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जतावा पवनचलनरोधातात्मनिष्ठो भवत्वं। पवनचलनरोधातात्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।